You're listening to the Voiceover Casting Corner, a podcast and question and answer session recorded live every month. VCC is brought to you by the Voicecaster. The Voicecaster casts thousands of voices every year across all genres, and we're excited to give you an inside look at the casting process direct from our casting team.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to Voiceover Casting Corner. This is our year-end wrap-up. We just wanted to hop on with you all so that we could talk about just kind of wrapping up 2024 and getting ready for an amazing 2025. So thank you for joining us live, all of you that are here, and hi to everyone who's watching the replays later on. They are always available on YouTube and also Spotify and all of that as well. So, all right. So, Catherine, do you want to cover some of the top takeaways for 2024?
Sure. Yeah. So just things we've talked about in previous podcasts, things that I feel like I'm constantly talking with, people here in the office or with actors that I'm, connecting with, just recurring themes that I've noticed for the year. And I think a big one that we've talked about over and over again is being true to yourself. That's what's going to make your read sound authentic. That's what's going to make you stand out, because nobody else auditioning sounds just like you or is going to bring your personality or point of view to an audition. So don't try to be something you're not. Don't try to guess what the client is looking for. Stay true to yourself. And kind of going with that is trusting your gut. Like if you really feel strongly about a certain read, go for it. Most actors, especially if you've been doing this for a little bit, you've got good instincts. So trust that. And if you're feeling really strongly about a certain take or a certain read, lead with that one. Because chances are your instincts in what feels good to you is going to be what stands out to the person listening on the other end. Another big one that I feel like we've been dealing with a lot lately here in the office is don't read on stuff you're not right for. Don't waste your time. Please. Don't waste the time of the people listening. Don't make the casting director or the client angry going like, why on earth is this person reading on this project? It's okay to pass. No one's going to get mad at you. In fact, if you really truly don't feel you're right for something, they'll probably say, oh, thank you for not reading on it, because you're, like I said, you're wasting your time, you're wasting the person's time listening, and so you're saving everybody some work. So Don't feel bad about it. No one's going to get mad at you. If you're really not right for something. Yeah,
we'll respect you more. I think was it on Friday that I was texting you, Catherine, when I was like, so-and-so read on this and they're so not right. And I am like, it's late on a Friday and I am waiting.
We don't want to be doing that.
800 auditions. And it was like, at least half the people were all wrong for it.
Yeah. So don't do that. It's just as important to know what your limitations are as it is to know what you're good at. So it's always okay to pass. Don't ever feel bad. And then another big one that I think we talked about in the last podcast, or maybe the one before, is don't be afraid to go out there and do your own legwork. Don't rely on an agent or a manager to do all that for you. Go out to those conventions. We just had That's Voiceover here last weekend. Go to those kinds of things if they're in your area or if you can afford to travel to them. Or just different actor meetups, different actor groups. There's lots of Facebook groups for voice actors, things like that. Connect with those. Make those connections. Submit to ad agencies, submit to recording studios. You never know what door might open for you when somebody needs something, especially if it's a last minute type thing, and if they've got your name and like, oh, we should reach out to this person. They'd be great. And suddenly you've got a job that you didn't even have to audition for, so you never know where things are going to come from, where connections are going to lead you. So don't be afraid to go do that. I mean, I know networking's not the most fun thing in the world. I know a lot of actors that are like, oh no, I hate having to schmooze. It's, but that's what's going to make, you never know. There's so many actors that I hear of, they say, I wouldn't be great for this role, but my friend Charlie over here would be, so you never know where things are going to lead or what's going to come from a connection you've made. So always get out there doing your own legwork. Those are great. And yeah, I think those are the main ones I had. When in doubt, just keep it simple. Just be yourself. Don't try to push too much or, force something that doesn't feel right. Stay true to yourself, trust your gut, and you'll be right.
Keep it simple is such a great phrase to bring into the new year with you too, because it's like, keep it simple. Keep everything simple. Just be you. Just, trust your instincts. Keep editing simple. keep,
Right.
you know,
Don't
it's like
overprocess things or overmodulate
yeah,
stuff.
everything's simple. It does not have to be complicated. You know,
Work so
you do
hard.
not need to make it more work or more stressful for yourself. I so often talk to people who are like stressed out about it, or they have so many auditions and how am I going to ever do this? And like, I even had somebody who passed on a one-liner. So just a one-liner because he said, you know, he needed to spend the evening working on a self-tape. And I'm like, but a one-liner could just take you literally 2 minutes to record, you know? So it's like you're missing out on that opportunity because you're overcomplicating it. So, you know, just keeping things simple. Keep it simple. Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to, well, now I'm going to say it because I started to say it, but we're not going to say KISS because we're not going to say that you're stupid. We're going to say keep it simple, silly. That's what we encourage you to do. You know, it's like,
I hate when people come in and they tell me, oh, I would have spent 2 hours recording this at home. And it's like, the job wouldn't have even taken 2 hours. Don't spend more time on your audition than the job's going to take. Yeah, that's when you're over.
Plan your time. You can spend that time doing much more productive things or just like, you know, I don't know, resting, reading a book.
You're right.
Listening to a podcast. So yeah, there's a lot of things. All right. And I, of course, because I'm a super dork like this and I love alliteration and nerdy things like that. So I have 3 R's for you. So my 3 R's for ending a year and starting a new year. The first one is reflect. So the first thing as you're transitioning from one year to the next, or 1 week to the next, 1 month to the next, you know, this is something that you can do as often as you need to. Reflecting on what has happened. So when you're looking back at 2024, the biggest thing that I want you to really think about is what are some positive things that happened? There is a lot to be said for looking back and seeing the positive because so often we see the negative in everything in life. That is just how our brains are programmed. It's like 10 people can compliment you, 1 person criticizes you. What do you remember? You remember being criticized, not all the compliments. So I want you to look back and I really want you to focus on 5 positive things. And of course, I mean, this goes for life in general. It can be career related, which is, you know, what we're kind of talking about, but this can go for life in general. But look back and find the positive things that happened. And then go 1 step further and try not to add a but, because a lot of people will be like, oh, I got 2 new agents this year, but I haven't booked for them yet. Don't leave out the but. You got 2 new agents this year. Amazing, right? So don't discredit those positive things. So reflecting back and finding the positive that has happened in your year. I think it's super important, and no buts. No buts. You can add ands, but no buts. You really want to focus on the positive because that also just gives you that motivation to keep moving forward. It's so important to just keep moving forward and keep doing what's working. My next R is release. So of course, as you're thinking of all the positive things, you're going to think of all the negative things that have happened as well. You are like automatically everybody reflects back on things and they're like, well, I could have done that a little bit better. Or maybe I should have done this. I don't know. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, think about that and then say goodbye. Just release it, let it go, you know, feel whatever you feel about it and then move forward. You know, don't let that hold you back. It's
or like use it as motivation to like, okay, I messed up or I didn't do this. So that's going to be my goal for next time.
Yeah, it's you learned a lesson. You know, as far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as failure. You're either progressing or you're learning a lesson, plain and simple. And then my 3rd R is realign. So realigning with your goals, your intentions. Why are you doing voiceover? Think about it. Like what's your reason? Is it a passion? Is it, you know, like figuring out what your reason is? And I think the biggest thing is also like, what do you want in the new year? Is it an agent? Is it a booking? Do you want to book your first video game? Do you want to book your first animated show? What are you hoping for? And then again, I'm going to tell you to put out into the universe what you're looking for. You know, have those goals, have those dreams in mind, set your intentions, but also don't worry about the how. Don't make it stressful. Just know like, okay, going into this year, I want this, this, and this. That's it. Worry about the what, not the how. So obviously, it's things will happen. And even if you figure out how to get there exactly in a step-by-step, guess what? It doesn't work that way. So so I think it's really important as you're trying to, just realign with what you want moving forward, to not stress about how it's going to happen, because you'll do all of that work. You'll know what to do. So there's your 3 R's. You are reflecting, releasing, and realigning. All right. So that's kind of our quick and dirty
End of the year lessons.
Yeah.
Resolutions.
It's one of those things where it's like you may or may not do resolutions, and that's fine, but at least have some goals and things going into the new year. Obviously, I could have added so many R's as I was like going over this. I was like, well, what about rest and reconnecting? And I went on and on and on. But I think these 3 kind of get all of that in there: reflect, release, and realign. So thinking about those 3 R's, and write it down if you have to. Some people like to write it down. It has more of an impact for them. Some people, it's like, as I'm talking about it, you're thinking things, and that's great too. So yeah, hopefully that just kind of gives you a little bit of a letting 2024 go and jumping into 2025. I know 2025 is going to be an amazing year. We were crazy busy in 2024, and 2025 is already looking even crazier, crazy in a good way. Me and Catherine will just be like touring the U.S. But it's going to be good. Things are going to be busy and exciting. And if you haven't seen it yet, I think Ben just posted it, that we just announced all of our upcoming classes, all of that. So all of that's on our website. We have gift cards or gift certificates, whatever, that you can buy for people as well. All of that's on our website. So all of the classes now have a next start date. So if there was something that you were looking at any point in time, or you just want to see what's there, I am also going to be running 2 seminars. That one is brand new, one I haven't run in a year. So my Master Your Marketing and Snag an Agent seminar is exactly that. It's all about marketing yourself, getting representation, finding new representation, whatever you need, and getting yourself out there. So that one I haven't run in a year. So that one is coming back. And then we have a new seminar called Demystifying the Casting Process. So I will take you through how the whole casting process works, so that as an actor, you can start to see behind the scenes a little bit more, to give you a better idea of what's what we do, what we're looking for, all of that. So you get to put on your casting director hats. And I did want to mention that in 2025, we are starting kind of a new-ish, revised format for the podcast here. We are going to have 2 episodes a month. So we are going to do 1 live, and then we will have 1 pre-recorded, where Catherine and I will be chatting with various guests, agents, producers, managers, actors, whatever. So we're going to have an awesome lineup for that as well. So we're going to have some fun next year, and then even deeper. So, yep. Let's look over here at questions. I see lots of highs. Ellen said, what if my rep sends me something that I don't feel right for? If it comes directly from her, I sometimes feel obligated. Yeah. First of all, I would ask you, does your agent curate their projects? Do they specifically send to certain people, or do you have an agent who sends everything to everybody? Because obviously if they send everything to everybody, you have to kind of go through and pick and choose, be smart about it. If they are sending it to you specifically, you can always write them back and say, hey, I don't feel like this is quite in my wheelhouse. Should I still read on it? Ask them. Yeah. Because sometimes they might be like, oh, yeah, the producer let me know that they wanted to hear someone like this. And then you might be like, oh, okay, that's me. Yeah. Sometimes there are different specs thrown out later on. Sometimes it's a matter of like having sort of that wild card, something a little bit different than the specs. And we do that sometimes too, because we will send to talent that we know directly as well. And sometimes I have actors who are like, I'm not quite right for this. And I'm like, but still read on it, because I feel like you are going to have a read that they really like and they would go for. And sometimes those people are kind of what I call the wild card, something a little bit different, but still works well.
But if you are clearly someone in their 50s and you sound it, and the spec is someone in their 20s, please have the consciousness of mind to not read on that. Or if they're looking for, we were doing a casting the other day, it was Spanish, and there were half a dozen people reading the English subtitles or the translation. And it's like, no, this is a Spanish casting. Why? So stuff like that, common sense. If it's looking for a British accent and that's not your strong suit, don't do it. It's always okay. If it's something you really aren't comfortable with, like Kelly said, feel free to ask, inquire. Maybe there's more information to be had, but it's never a bad idea to pass if you're not comfortable for any reason.
Yeah. And sometimes agents, honestly, they either are stretching it, or they might see you in different ways, or honestly, they might just kind of be like, I don't know, maybe she could do it. And not necessarily be sending it to you super specifically. Sometimes that happens as well. So Eric said, these days, what would you say are the top 3 things that catch your ears in the first 5 seconds of listening to an audition, when you're listening to hundreds or thousands of them, that make you want to put them in the nice file as opposed to the naughty pile? First of all, I love that you're throwing in the naughty and nice. Super appropriate for this time of year. So honestly, for me, it's like, and Catherine might be different, so we'll both give our insights here. Those first 5 seconds, it's like, I want to hear you, meaning your voice, not you doing a voice, unless of course it calls for it. I'm talking about conversational commercials, the big thing. So I want to hear you. I want to hear personality. So give me something, do a little something with it, a lead in, and keeping that in there. That can just come from an attitude or an energy, that kind of a thing. I'm trying to think if I have like top 3 things. Really, I mean, it's being you and having the personality are really the big things. And then, I mean, I guess one thing is also clear audio. Nowadays, it's like everybody has home studios, so you do want it to be clear. Sometimes, not too often anymore, because everybody's got pretty good setups, but once in a while I will hear something where it sounds like it was recorded, like, I don't know, on a busy street. And it's like, I can barely hear their voice. I can barely hear anything they're doing with it. So that does affect things. It doesn't have to be broadcast quality for an audition, but, at least recording yourself in a quiet place. Those are probably the biggest things that really stand out to me at first.
Yeah, definitely that. Just the general, are they fitting the spec? Are they sounding the right age range? Are they, if they say that you're looking for a lighter voice, do they sound too deep, or are they light enough? Little things like that. Just making sure they're fitting what the client is asking for. Making it sound natural. There's a lot of people you're listening back. It's like, why are they pushing so hard? Why are they shouting at me? Or why are they, it's like, just relax. Just, or like, they're so close. I'm like, they're right on the edge. Just relax just a little bit, So those people that can just embody that natural feel definitely stand out.
Yeah, don't yell at me. Don't yell at me, please. Good. So, this time of the year is when things, I want to say, tend to slow down a little bit.
Even slow down that last minute craziness of, oh no.
Yeah. It's like, it's inevitable. We're going to get a casting on Christmas Eve. It's like, it happens. So yeah, it's one of those things where, it can slow down. I know some agencies that are closing this week. I know others who are only closed like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, so it's like, it's kind of all over the place. But if you're looking at submitting to, agents, casting directors, whatever, now it's hit or miss. So just know that if you are sending out those emails, you may not get anything in response, or they may say like, hey, reach out again in mid-January, late January, February, because things are crazy around the holidays. So, all right. What VO genres other than commercials does the Voicecaster cast? Okay. We have everything. We do tons of commercials. But yeah, we've done a ton of narration, video games, animation, online stuff. We have cast industrials like museum audio tours, things like that. We've phone on hold messaging systems, infomercials, promos. We've done it all and continue to do it all, just depending on what the client is looking for. All right. And Ellen said, in regards to Sam, once in a while, I get an audition when I'm out of town. That's still been asked. Yeah, honestly, it's totally fine. I mean, I've even heard decent auditions on somebody's phone. So yes, still audition, especially if we're like, hey, yeah, like totally fine to still audition. You can do it on your phone if you brought a USB microphone with you. The biggest thing is just making sure that you have a quiet place to do it. It's like I've even seen people have good enough audio by throwing a blanket over their head, sitting in the middle of the bed in their hotel room, so it's like even that is totally fine. All right. Lake said, you mentioned sending auditions to certain people who fit the specs. On that note, have you ever sent out an audition to only 3 people per se, or is it always more than 20? It depends. So usually, like if we're submitting 3 people on a project, then we will send it to more just because people will be unavailable or, don't feel right for it and will tell us or, whatever reason, or can't make the deadline or respond to my email 2 days later. So it's one of those things where we do send it to more, and that also gives us the option. So we really started doing that with the pandemic because people self-directing, recording from home. We noticed that the auditions were not always as great. So even people that we've known and worked with for years who were like, they'd be perfect for this, they started sending in auditions, and it was, for lack of a better word, just weird. Some of the stuff they were doing was weird. And I was like, what? Like, why are they not just like talking? Keeping it simple. So we kind of learned pretty quickly that if we're submitting 10 on a project, we can't just send to 10 because we sometimes don't know what we'll get from people. So yeah, we do send to more. Do we send to 900 people? Absolutely not. We are selective. So if you get something directly from us, you were handpicked for a reason. So, that is definitely something that we are very specific about. We do not have like a list of people that we just send everything to. That would make my life a nightmare. So yeah, so then Lake's kind of followed it up, meaning how specific can agents really get on sending these out? So yeah, that is one of those things where it's depending on the agent. Some of them are very specific, and they will actually, they will send it out to like their top 5 people. Some agents will send it out to their top 50 people, meaning they're not all right for it. But you do have to watch out for that. That is definitely something to, if you can get any intel on your agent, then that's a good thing to know. Not always something that they'll share. So it is one of those things where it's like the first step is usually making it out of your agency. It's like we send out the project. They have, say, 30 people read on it. They, depending on the agent, they may only submit 10 of those 30. So then you have to be in the top 10 within your agency first to even get to us. So that can be a thing as well, as far as that first hurdle that you guys as actors kind of have to get through. So that's always a good conversation to have with your agent is, am I getting through to casting? Like, are you sending my auditions? Are you liking what I'm doing? Do you have any feedback? Things like that to open up the conversation. And I will just add that if you don't feel comfortable saying that to your agent, that's something to think about, because your agent is part of your team and you should be comfortable enough to ask them for any feedback and if your auditions are getting to where they need to be. He said he uses the ironing board. I love that. That's a smart idea. Might be a little more comfortable than having a blanket over your head, right? Do you guys have any other questions for us before we sign off for the year, which feels so crazy? Holidays are quick. We are going to be closed for a couple of weeks, so you may still get auditions from us because, like I said, they happen. So we'll be around, but trying to take some time off, and hopefully everybody else. those off.
Right?
Relaxation. Reflect, release, realign.
It's good to disconnect for a little bit.
Time to do that. Yes. Susie said, when an audition asks for 2 or 3 takes, doesn't matter to you whether it's 2 or 3. No. And honestly, I would rather you only do 2 if you don't have 3 different ones. That is more of a, we have to hear 2, but sometimes people are like, I couldn't decide, so I threw in a 3rd. So that is us saying, go ahead and give us a 3rd if you have something different.
Right, make sure they're all different. 1 and 3 shouldn't sound the same.
Exactly. It's all about finding that variation. Showing us your range.
Yeah, so no pressure if you only have 2 good ones in you. That's perfectly.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all in the new year with our slightly
revamped
format. But it'll be exciting. Exciting new things are happening. So yeah, we're excited about the new seminar coming up. We are going to be opening doors to our next mastermind. We are in week 12 of the current mastermind, and it's been pretty amazing. Going to be adding quite a few new things to that as well. So we'll be opening up doors for enrollment for that very shortly. But my founding members of the first one have been doing amazing things. So it's exciting. So we are all looking forward to 2025, and hopefully we will see you all soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Happy holidays.
Catch our next VoiceOver Casting Corner episode live on Facebook and YouTube. Check our socials or follow us for the latest info. Thanks for listening.